Hey, this is Emily Roberts. Catch my latest song, In Love with LA, right now. You're listening to On the Porch with Front Porch Music.
I was 8 when we moved off the farm, so, and I was scared of the chickens. And my brother and I, we were actually talking about this last week. We were super young, and when our parents were just like out and about on the farm, we had places we weren't allowed to go, obviously because we get stomped on. But we thought if we fed the cows big leaves with bubbles on them, they would like fart bubbles.
That's so cute.
And one time, my papa caught us, and he was like, "Why are you doing that?" We were like, "We thought they would fart bubbles." And we didn't get in trouble. He was laughing too hard. It was too cute.
That's awesome. That's so funny.
We are back with another episode of On the Porch with Front Porch Music. Today, we had the pleasure of talking to Noeline Hofmann. She's a emerging Americana folk country artist. She was born and raised in the Badlands of Alberta, grew up
on the ranch.
Yeah, she loved that. Music was always part of her life. She did say her mom is also a beautiful singer, better than her.
And about a year and a half ago, she took the leap. No, like a year and a month ago, she took the leap and started releasing music, and
it's been going well,
to say the least.
She has won a number of Country Music Alberta awards this past year. She's also a finalist in this year's SiriusXM Top of the Country program. So for those of you who head to the CCMAs in Kelowna this year, you will catch her there.
She's also playing the CMA Fest, Lasso, all because of the SiriusXM Top of the Country competition.
She talks a lot about the music she was inspired by growing up. It was a range. It wasn't just like the classics, which is really cool. Her single, Purple Gas, happened to blow up just about a year ago. It was featured on a very small artist you may have heard of, Zach Bryan, his album. She also released her debut EP last year. We actually... Like, our conversation was really great in terms of, like, how to blow up in a year and not make the wrong decisions. Mm-hmm. I think, to say the least, so.
Well, let's hop right into it. Here's our chat with Noeline Hofmann.
Do-do-do-do-do. Welcome to the Porch, Noeline Hofmann.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We have so much to cover with you today. For starters, you're a finalist for this year's Top of the Country competition, which is really exciting. I hope you're stoked to get to September to Kelowna for the finals.
Yeah.
But we'll save that for a little bit later. We're gonna take it back a little bit. Why don't we start with a little bit of an intro about yourself and where you're from?
Yeah, my name's Noeline Hofmann, and I'm from the Badlands of southern Alberta, Canada. Born and raised, and have been playing country music all my life. So
when you say the Badlands, I love Alberta, and I love that part of Alberta. So like that's like in like the Drumheller area, right?
No, so actually, I mean, that's the most iconic part of the Badlands, but the Great Canadian Badlands covers a huge amount of prairie. I'm from the Plains area of the Badlands. But I love Drumheller.
Have you ever found a dinosaur bone?
You know what? I have found fossils. Not a dinosaur bone, but, just they're around.
I asked it as a joke, and I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, they're all around the rivers, and
That's insane. Okay, why don't you paint the picture of what it was like growing up in the Badlands then? Like, set the scene for us. You worked on a ranch, right? So, like, where did all this come from?
Yeah, I grew up in the town I grew up in, Bow Island, Alberta, is a super industrial, agricultural town. Lots of crop production and ranching around there. And I actually grew up in town, and then started pursuing, learning about cattle and ranching as a teenager. 15, I started going out to work on friends' farms and just try and learn as much as I could go out to the ranch after my job after school and after I was done my shift at the grocery store, and that's how I started getting into that in town, and then just continued after graduating.
What's something
pursuing it?
As a person who I know what when you're saying ranching, I get it, but I also I don't get it. So
Yeah.
what are
As she's
some of
sitting in Toronto.
Yeah. I grew up on a farm, but like when I was extremely young, and it was very basic
Yeah.
farm. So ranching, like just dig deeper for me. Paint that picture for me, who's living in a 36 floor condo right
Man,
now.
I would say the best way to put it is it's very much a lifestyle is like the first word that comes to my
Okay.
mind. You know, it's cyclical and you know, it's a 24/7 kind of thing. Like I find if I don't know, I'm trying to
If I
find
ask
the
you
right
this might be the dumb question, but how is this different from farming?
it's involving livestock and grassland management. Yeah.
I'm also from the city.
Yeah.
And then yeah, farming is growing crops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just had a little 4-H lesson here.
Yeah. What
For-
was the farm that you grew up on?
we had like beef cows and chickens.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
But I was a girl who like my family all lives in a very rural area, and it's like very agricultural and farmland, but I appreciate the slowness of home, but I also love the speed of the city and
Yeah.
what I do
Yeah.
here. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Okay.
understand that duality. I've got both sides of
yeah.
the coin too. Yeah.
Are you based home still, or have you moved like
Yeah,
closer to the
technically
city?
Alberta is still Wyland's still home base for me technically. But yeah, I spend most of the time really now in the States, and most of my business and life is down here. So but yeah, when I am off the road, if I'm not there, I'll be usually in Nashville during off time. But yeah.
Are we off right now, or are we on the road?
Yeah, I'm off right now. I'm coming up.
Nice.
Got May 28th, I'm back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've
Okay.
been so like busy the last year
Yeah.
that this must
Yeah.
be like a nice little breather.
Yeah, it's been so nice, so nice. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
where does
just-
music come into play when you're at home on the ranch, when you were growing up? Where did the love for music and the love for writing and playing kind of kick in?
Yeah, I always struggle with this question because I don't remember a time that it wasn't a part of just a part of my life and kind of being. But I think that when I really started getting into writing songs, it was a way, when you grow up somewhere as slow moving as where I come from, I think kind of you have to be able to like romanticize your life in a way. And so I think for me, it was like I was a super creative kid living in a world that didn't always like foster that, and it was a way for me to like it was just it started off just purely like an outlet for me, and then yeah, I think it's just like painting.
Was there like a
Making the
moment
world
where you
bright.
realized like this is something I might actually want to do long term, or like you're from
Yeah.
such a small town that was it kind of like that's never even a thing?
Kind of a combination of both. I always dreamed of doing it, but it was something I was embarrassed to admit for a long time. Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually gonna say, between working at the grocery store, going to school, and learning to ranch, how did you even have time?
Yeah, man, there's definitely been seasons in my life where I wasn't picking up the pen very often, but yeah, that's just the way it goes. It's kind of an ebb and flow.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
did you start recording music?
Not until April, almost exactly a year ago. I had my first day in the studio in like in April of last year, 2024.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Holy shit. No, wait. Not.
Yeah.
That is
yeah.
a whirlwind.
Yes, yes. That's the best word
trying to
to describe it.
Can you keep up?
Yeah.
Can you even keep up with
Yeah.
that? I thought
You
you
know,
were
it
in
feels
like a
like-
few years, you know?
No,
1 year.
yeah, I've been working on my music for
Sure.
like, especially like, playing live and whatnot for a long time. I've been working towards it, but the recording thing just it just didn't come about. I really wanted to do it right, and I was just like patiently waiting for my ideal kind of situation to come around, and I'm really glad that I
Sure.
did. But before that, I was kind of just grinding it out on the regional scene and playing lots, kind of like multiple times a weekend, and eventually made a trip down to the States in 2023. Um, Drove down to Kentucky and Tennessee to just start building community down there, and that trip really um, changed. I met a lot of people that I still I work with now, and yeah, it's been a crazy few years.
Yeah, like to say the least.
Yeah,
What's the circuit that you were playing at home? Like, what's that usual? Where were you playing on the weekends? Where did you get your
just
stage legs?
yeah, so when I moved back from my ranch job in Manitoba, I was a little bit of a lost ship trying to figure out what I was going to do next, if I was going to go to school or whatever. But what I really wanted to do was music. It was just I just needed to rip that band-aid off and not and do it. And so my parents are great and super supportive, and they were like, okay, if this is really what you want to do, there's no better time than now. So why don't you put all your cards on the table for 3 months and just hit the ground running and do as much as you can, and then we'll check back and see where you're at. And it just continued to snowball, and the moment I made that decision, there was no looking back. It's been my life ever since. But I started going to open mics all around the I would drive all around the province to any open mic I could find. And I'd been following the regional scene like all throughout high school, so I knew who everybody was, but nobody knew me.
Yeah.
Perfect
So
place to be
I
in.
just started going to shows and driving to shows, and then trying to, hanging around, trying to get a hand, like shake hands and introduce myself at the end of the night. And that's how I started building community, was just continuing to show up, just show up where music was happening. And yeah, it was really quick, and next thing, within a month, I was just sending out cold call emails and just really like hit it 100% with like a no plan B kind of attitude. And then I was just gigging, in the bars mostly, and opening shows for, more established artists in Western Canada, and yeah, lots of bars, lots of stuff like that. And then eventually, I kind of like once I felt like I had established my community in Western Canada. That's when I decided to drive down to Kentucky and Tennessee, and I spent about a month down there just rambling around doing the same thing there. Yeah, doing the exact same thing there, and that's what those years looked like for me. Yeah.
What's the Kentucky part of that? Because everybody says Nashville, but and Tennessee, but I'm not here. Like nobody says Kentucky. So what's the scene
Yeah,
there that you found?
man, there's just so much great music coming out of there at the time, and I have had a friend in Alberta who um, was kind of at the same time, like, in the music scene a little bit, like starting to get to know the music scene down in those parts of the world. And he had told me about a festival in Kentucky called Master Musicians Festival. And so I had followed them because I was like, oh, that sounds like a great festival, I'd love to go, check it out sometime. And I followed them, and then one day on their page, I kind of forgot about it. Months and months later, a little contest. It was like a contest that you could, if you won, you got to play in front of, like, it was like one song in front of the headliner of the festival. And this is,
Cool.
mind you, it's a great festival, but it's a small, like, if kind of festival.
Yeah.
And
The best
so
kind of festivals,
I
truly.
ended up submitting a song, kind of just like not on a whim. I was like, oh, why not? I'll submit a song. And then I got an email. It was like, oh, congrats, you're in the top 5, like be at the Tipsy Toad in Somerset, Kentucky in, like, it was like 10 days. I had no time. And then I was like,
Oh shit,
at
I
the
gotta
time,
drive.
Pack the car.
well, yeah. So I kind of, at the time, I had actually got accepted. I had just like applied to take part in there's Cowboys Music Festival
Yep.
in Calgary, puts on a talent search, and I got accepted into that, and I was really excited. But then this opportunity, which this contest in Kentucky is very, very small. It's not any,
Yep.
but I was just like basically at that point just waiting for an excuse. It just ended up being what spurred me to finally make that trip. So, in just a few days, I packed up and drove down there.
That's crazy.
And I bought a ticket to Railbird Festival, which we're playing crazily enough, we're playing June 1st now. That was the
That's
first outdoor festival I ever saw. Was Railbird.
That's
So I
so
had
full
three plans.
circle.
It was like the plan was do the contest at the Tipsy Toad in this little town that's like,
Tipsy
you
Toad.
know, it's a very, yeah, it's a really small, fun bar, really fun town. Somerset, anyways, I made so many friends there. They were so good to me. And then went to Railbird and went to Nashville, and the rest was just fill in the gaps. I just
Wow.
met so many people, and everybody, the music mindset in Kentucky, it's just, it was just so wonderful. Everybody plays, everybody that you meet plays, and the music is just such a I find my experience anyways has been it's just a different part of a deeper rooted part of the culture I find um in some ways, especially like, bluegrass and
Mm.
country
Yeah,
music down there is just runs so strong and in everybody. So yeah.
that's crazy.
You touched on like the sound there. You have a very much like more of a rootsy, more like low key traditional country sound,
Hmm.
like folky, rootsy, all that kind of stuff. Who were some of your influences growing up, and like when you look back on what you were listening to when you're writing all this material?
Yeah, I grew up listening to a lot of classic country music, like, all the classic country gold people my parents always had on, Patsy Cline and lots of Johnny Cash. We also listened to a lot of classic rock, and also like and as well as Elvis was always a big hit in the house I grew up in. And yeah, man, and there's also there's a blues club in the town I grew up in, and that was a big part of my kind of like realizing that I wanted to play music
Mm.
for real, and like really wanted to do it like on a scale. Is really inspiring. And yeah, man, I was lucky. I got exposed to a lot of just a lot of awesome music as a kid. And yeah, one of my big like some of my big influences are Emmylou Harris and Gillian Welch.
That's so
Um,
funny because I was thinking about this earlier and I like didn't do the Google thing, but I was like, I wonder how much she likes Emmylou Harris.
oh, I love Emmylou Harris. Oh my gosh.
Like when I thought of you, I
Yeah,
was like, I kind of that must make sense.
I just love Emmylou. She's my favorite. She's my favorite. She's definitely a big North Star for me, music, yeah.
Yeah, that completely adds up. I love that. Um, I'm still stuck on the you driving down to Kentucky, so forgive me for going back to that. But how long does that take? Because from Ontario,
Yeah.
where I am, that's probably like hour 9 or 10 of the
Yeah.
Nashville drive. So
It's
that's way further
yeah,
for you.
it's 30 hours. Yes.
Back to Crow,
Yeah,
get ready
a little
soon.
over 30 hours. Yeah, I did it in 3 days. I drove I drove 13 or 14, like the first day I drove to Boulder, Colorado, and then I just took you can basically take the interstate pretty much all the way across. And I stopped next day I stopped just outside of Kansas City in a truck stop motel I definitely probably should had no business staying in as a 19-year-old solo traveler. But I apparently had God on my side that whole
Yeah,
trip. I look
Jesus
back
take
at
the
some of
wheel.
that and I'm just like, oh my goodness.
That is
You're
wild.
crazy. But yeah, it was an awesome, it's a super life-changing trip. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, just think about that initial trip and all the places you've already got to go to play music. Like you've been all over North America pretty much already at this point.
Yeah.
Have you been
Yeah.
overseas yet or no?
I have not been overseas to play yet, but we're heading overseas in June for the first time. We're gonna make our yeah, overseas debut
Debut?
in
Nice.
Dublin and across the UK
Cool.
and ending in London. So
So
that's
cool.
gonna be awesome. It's coming up really fast. And yeah.
That is crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah. What are some of your like bucket list festivals you want to do?
Ooh, gosh, I get to do a couple of them this year. I guess Railbird was a bucket list. Under the Big Sky we're doing. Those were kind of my two.
Yeah.
I've been lucky to get to do Two Step In and Stagecoach were big ones on my list. We did this spring. And yeah, those are some of
Huge.
the big ones. I'd love to do Newport Folk Festival. I'd love to do, yeah, maybe even Telluride.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah.
I'm giving you like 3 years for like a Red Rocks situation.
Man, we'll keep putting out those
I
good
totally,
vibes. Yeah.
totally.
From your mouth to
Yeah.
God's ears.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think we should get into the music side now, yeah? Like less the journey,
Yeah,
more the
sure.
music.
Sounds good.
You know what?
Yeah,
Before
sure.
you do, the only thing I've been thinking of since you said you put out music starting a year ago, April, is we saw you in August of last year at Festival Country Lobinière in
Yes,
Quebec.
that's right. Yeah.
And that was only 4 months after you started putting out music. That's insane to me. It was
Yeah,
it was like,
it's
that
funny.
was my introduction to you in terms of like your music. When we were driving down, we were listening to you, and all that. And it was a really cool experience. It was,
Oh,
I think it was just you on stage, or you and a couple other people.
yeah, man,
But
yeah.
like the crowd was captivated for sure.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, it was kind of I was in a unique situation for sure in the past year, or when I started touring like exactly a year ago. I'd been playing tons of shows, but I'd never been on tour. And the first tour I ever did was exactly a year ago, like this week. So it was at that point in May I had no music out at all. And then June, I believe it was June 7th or 10th, it's 10th or something, that's when my first song, that's when like the first time I ever had a song on Spotify. And then in October was the EP release. So I was touring, touring a lot throughout that summer and didn't have really any music release. Now it's out there, which is great. It's more, but yeah. Anyways, just yeah, it was a really interesting experience to be touring, but without
Music out.
music out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when you say have music out there, that's a bit of an understatement at this point, because you have reached a lot of people very fast.
Well, man, yeah, it's something. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to wrap my mind around, but yeah, I try not to really think about it too much.
Was the Purple Gas duet the first song you actually put out?
Yeah,
That is
yeah, it
it.
was.
That is incredibly insane. You know that, right? Like that.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
how did you
Yeah.
how did this get from you to Zach Bryan's ears to him obsessed with it to you recording it together?
Man, it's crazy ride. Zach, it was actually how it went was I had posted at the time. I had been putting most of my energy and time in my first year of like being like, okay, I'm gonna do music full time. I'm gonna do this, you know, for real. I was putting all like boots on the ground work. I really wasn't. I was trying to build my show and build my
Yeah.
experience playing shows and like all the in-person stuff, and I really wasn't focusing much at all on my social media. And then I kind of like turned a point where I was like, okay, I gotta like whip this into shape. And so I had got TikTok and everything. And I ended up putting up Purple Gas, kind of just like not thinking anything of it, a little snippet. And then it ended up, it was Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. And I had posted it like at midnight and woke up in the morning. I was like, oh, funny. Like this is like really picking up some
My
theme.
app
And it was
isn't
kind of
working
like a
anymore.
funny,
Yeah.
it was kind of a funny thing. Like it was just, just catching a lot of traction and organically. And then people started to DM me, like find my Instagram and DM me. And there's a fella that DM me and he was like, I would love, can you please post this on Instagram Reels? And I was kind of like, at this point I had a lead on a nice, like fully produced like video. Like I wanted to do a proper video. I was like, oh no, I don't think I'm gonna put up the clip. I'm gonna get it done properly. He was like, I really think you should put up the clip. I think it's gonna like blow up. And I was like, oh, maybe, I don't know. But then eventually I put up the clip and sent it to the guy. I was like, here you go, man.
This random
And-
stranger.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You're like, stop
Anyways,
harassing
and then
me. I
he-
posted it already. There you go.
Then he DMs me back. He's like, I think my buddy Zach is really gonna like this. But I didn't really clock it. Like I noticed that Zach followed him, but I was just kind of like, haha, maybe
So
I
cool,
didn't,
yeah.
yeah, I was like, yeah, maybe, and then sure enough, the next morning I was just sitting around with my family having some Thanksgiving breakfast beers, and I got a notification on my phone, and it was like Zach Lane Bryan mentioned you in his story, and I was like, it
Oh
must be
shit.
I didn't think it would. I thought it was like, oh, well,
Like one of those
I
bots,
didn't
like,
think,
"Hey, pop
yeah,
fan, thanks for
yeah,
following."
exactly. And then I looked, and just in that moment, like I just like I just like dropped my phone, and I was just like everything. I knew it was like a feeling. I was like, I knew that everything changes now. It was like, and I didn't know. It's like funny looking back on that time because it was really like, maybe nothing was gonna change, but for sure that day forward, it was everything did change,
Literally
and
did.
flipped on its head, in the best way. But yeah, my life really did. It's been nonstop, since that notification, and yeah. So then Zach and I just had reached out to say thank you, and yeah, our he. And then eventually I went out to Oklahoma to record the song for his Belting Bronco series, and just kind of over time, and chatting and whatnot, we just became our relationship grew, and then he invited me to record the song. Yeah, it just kind of is like it just continued to unfold, like maybe nothing. It could have gone, 100 ways, but he's been so generous to me, and so just such a kind of like undescribably important
Mm,
part of my story, and
Definitely.
support of me. So yeah.
that's so
So
cool.
crazy. Literally so crazy. Did people demand music immediately though? Because I don't think you put music out right away after that either. It was a
No,
couple more
I
months,
didn't.
right?
Yeah,
Was it October?
I really didn't. I didn't drop the EP until a year after, like until pretty much exactly a year. Of course, the Purple Gas came out in, I don't know how many months from October to June, but it came out in June. But it was funny because I was getting a lot of, just having tons of calls with people in the industry, and people interested in working together, and so many people. I was getting like I was feeling a lot of pressure to like strike the
No
iron while it's
doubt.
hot. Like let's put this out. Like we need to get you down here and like record it, put it out like next week kind of thing. But I was like, that's not that. Just in that situation, like, and honestly, the smartest and best thing I did was wait to build. I took my sweet time, building a team and making sure that I had all the right people around me, and I've been so blessed in that regard. And yeah, we just of course, yeah, I'm so glad that I waited to record it, and
Yeah.
work
That
with
was
the
gonna
people
be
that I
like
got to work with. So
that was gonna
yeah.
be my next question. Like, once that happened, like Zach Bryan sharing it, recording the song together, I'm sure you had a billion like business people reach out to you to try to work
Yeah.
with you. How did you build that team? Like, how did you know who to trust, who to go with, and like I don't know the question, but
Yeah, I think time just trying to, it was a really great learning thing for me. I took pretty much every call just because that
You
was that was a
should.
new
Yeah.
completely like the real music industry. It was yeah, new world, and yeah, I think I like to think that I have I'm pretty in tune with my gut and intuition, and it's just kind of like, you know, talking to a bunch of people and kind of figuring out like who resonates with you, and who who makes who makes sense, and like if you're where I just tried to be really focused, like always, like I'm always making decisions for the long game and the long term. And I think most of all, I was just staying centered in that feeling, and kind of asking questions, and seeing who really understood what I was about, and wanted to, and saw a career, and what I was trying to do, and could like set, like obviously like wanted to make the most of Purple Gas's moment, but also could see that
there's more than a
that there is
viral
more
moment.
there.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you could
Yeah.
have easily got swept up in that too, and just
Yeah.
not made like you're only 21 years old, and that's, do you know how many 21-year-olds make the wrong choices and get really fucked up, and then are like 10 years down the line just repairing these things because they get taken advantage of because they're so young, and like
Yeah.
this stuff was new
It's
to you
kind of-
then too. Yeah, like you did such a good job of just being like, this is what I need to find, not just like who has the biggest offer, what's the best opportunity, act like kind of look, that's crazy.
I appreciate that. It's definitely, it's a crazy industry, and a crazy just such a I'm so interested in it, and find it also so fascinating, but it's like, man, it's a beast. It's for sure a beast, but one that's been good to me so far.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
So it's just like, staying centered and grounded in what you're trying to do is so important, because it's so easy to get swept up into something that maybe isn't for your highest and best good and long-term
totally
situation.
That makes sense. Okay, I think go ahead.
And then to add to the year, you were then nominated for a few Country Music Alberta awards.
And
won a few.
Yeah.
They have such a great production there at the Country Music Alberta Awards.
They really do a really great job. It's pretty impressive, what that small team can pull off, and it was really special to be a part of it. I'd visited I don't know if it was I guess 2023 as a I was trying to network, but I just bought a fan zone pass, and then tried to meet as many people as I could, and so it was a really awesome full circle to get to be a part of the show, and just feels great to be, like, I'm humbled to be recognized by my peers, and it was such a great time.
I think we should talk about Top of the Country. So you get to participate in this really cool thing this year. So that means you get to play Lasso. So you get to go back to Quebec this year.
I love Montreal.
Have you figured out your French yet, or no?
No. I hate to say it. Yeah.
You're talking to somebody who's very bilingual in French, and it's not
That's
me.
amazing.
It's not me. No.
Oh,
it's him.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. I really have so much respect for that.
It came in handy when we were in St. Agapit last year.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's so French.
And he was so happy because I had crazy. Nothing to say. I was so quiet.
Even talking on, like, I shouldn't have let it affect my show, but I was kind of like, man, there's so many people that really, like, truly only spoke French, and I wasn't sure how long a story, like, how much rambling I should do, and I was like, man, I should have learned some French.
I was wondering, so, did they warn you that it's like a very French area, or?
I think I knew it was a very French area, but I don't know. I didn't know what to expect.
Because I remember, like, Nate Smith, right, Jenna?
Yeah.
Was playing, and I remember he was coming on stage, like, talking and just talking, and it was like everyone was just like blank stares, and it was like no one told him.
But the second he starts talking, like, you start singing, everybody's right into it, which is funny.
Yeah, it was a super interesting experience. I loved it. It's
Nonetheless, Top of the Country finalist.
Yeah.
What song did you submit for Top of the Country? Something that's
I actually submitted an unreleased song. It's been our walk-off song on tour with the band for most of the year, and we've been playing it. It's a favorite of the band, and I knew that we could do it really well, just live off the floor, and it's one I hope to put out, so we just we decided to roll with it, and I'm so glad that we did. Yeah.
How are you fitting all of this into your already busy summer schedule?
Well, it's such a pleasure I'm so happy to be a part of Top of the Country. It's really it's such a great program, and it's such a legit program. It's so great that we have it in Canada, this opportunity for artists. My schedule is pretty much nonstop. This is my kind of little couple days of breather, and then it's all guns a blazing for the next while. But I love it, and I'm happy to get to do all of it. It's a privilege, so I'm very glad to be a part of all of it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Thinking about like what you have going on this summer, what are some of like the big things that you're excited for?
Well, yeah, coming up next, I mean, we've got CMA Fest. Oh, Railbird,
Yeah.
June 1st.
Yep.
And then CMA Fest is going to be super busy. I mean, top of the country
Yep.
aside, all the top of country stuff, and then got a show I'm really excited about with Winona Judd, which is going to be so
Cool.
much fun.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Think
she's
about
she's such a jam.
did your 16-year-old self ever
Oh.
think she'd be singing with Winona Judd?
Oh my gosh, oh man, it's really hard to describe how excited I am about it. And yeah, it's just so special. My mom loves the Judds, and also dyes her hair red like me, so she would always joke that we're gonna start a Judds cover band.
Can your mom
the
sing
Judds
too?
My mom is a wonderful singer, yeah, but she
Oh,
doesn't sing out, but she's got me whipped. She's a really great singer,
Really?
so yeah. But anyways, the Judds, that
I hope
music
she's
was
coming
such
to
a
that
big
show.
man. Unfortunately, you know, my parents work a seasonal business in agriculture, and they're unable to come to this one, but they got to be a part of lots of stuff, like basically up until now. Now it's starting to be their go time.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
yeah, I got that show, and then we go to Dublin, and we do 3 nights at Phoenix Park with Zach and Turnpike, and then continue on with Turnpike for a few days, and then meet back up with Zach in London at Hyde Park. So that's going to be a big one. And
The fact that you're able to just like rhyme these off with dates and everything off the top of your head is insane. Like, are you naturally very organized?
My brain's very, this is crazy. I usually have a window that's like, I'll break it up in sections, like up until I had a tour, and it went April or March 21st wasn't, but that's like when I left home, March 21st, and my brain only went till May 10th. And if anybody asked me anything of past May 10th, I was like,
I don't know.
maybe, like, I don't know. My brain stops at May 10th, and then after May 10th, now I'm like May 10th to July 2nd is my next. That's my next brain right now,
Schedule.
and the rest gets a little bit blurry of when everything's happening after that point. So I find if I just take, it's like one kind of chapter chunk at a time and focus on it, because it's too much to try and
No doubt.
keep straight. Yeah.
That's actually quite impressive, because you can ask people, like, what do you have going on like this week, and they're like,
Let me pull up my Google sheet.
I have no idea.
My bad thing is like, oh, what did you do this week? And I'm like,
Good question.
This week already happened. Who cares?
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Are you looking back on all of this though, like the Winona thing? Like your 16-year-old self would never guess that. Are you looking back on some of these crazy experiences and like thinking about your younger self and like,
Yeah.
she could have never dreamed this up, or like she thought it might have only ever been a dream, and now you get to actually do it? Like, do you think of it for that like young version of you too?
Yeah, often that little girl is very much at the forefront of my mind, going through all of this for sure. It's all honestly like it's kind of all for my younger self, and yeah.
That's good. I feel like that's why you can like make good choices and like think about the things that you're doing, because you're like, what is actually best for me? You're not necessarily getting caught up in all of this,
For sure. Yeah.
You gotta enjoy it all. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Should we play a game? Our little game here.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. We started doing this in January. We just started like running through people's catalogs, and we're lightly calling it the vibe check, I think.
Cool.
We just want to know like where you were at when this was coming out, or like when you were writing it, where were you at in your life? And this should be interesting because you put music out for less than 1 year, or just over 1 year.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. So we'll skip Purple Gas, maybe, because we've talked about it a little, like we've already kind of talked about it.
Okay.
But your next single after that was Lightning in July. So what was the anticipation like putting out your music, your solo music, and hoping like it sticks like Purple Gas did?
Yeah, I mean, it was I was so nervous. You know, I was lucky to work with an amazing person and producer, Patrick Lyons, who's just you know, he was such a rock for me during that time and really
Sure.
you know, made my first experiences in the studio and making music to release you know, so positive and yeah, I guess I definitely, to be honest, like felt a lot of per, just this. I've reckoned a lot with this, but the one like the song following up Purple Gas, I felt a lot like you know
Pressure.
what you know just yeah, it's kind of a wild thing and like lightning is so much different than Purple Gas. But I think the pairing with that is I wanted to showcase that I can do both. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. And what was it
yeah,
like for you, like writing that song? What was that one about for you?
yeah. So actually, I wrote that song for the live shows leading up to exactly a year ago, a tour with supporting Charlie Crockett, and I needed another. I was like, I need a good honky tonk, you know, like upbeat banger for this. And I had Lightning in July. Like, I had that idea for a while, and then the song just became. It's kind of like a, you know, like it's like oh, I was. It's a kind of a tongue in cheek like self introduction, you know, just yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I love that. Logan, you pick next.
How about the one after that, August?
Hmm. Um. Well, like where
What was life like? Like when you were writing it, and the feeling of putting that one out as the follow up to the follow up.
Yeah, August I wrote, you know, almost a year. It's a song that I had written a year, like a year ago before I would have recorded it and kind of, you know, kind of was one of those songs that kind of got like I just didn't I wrote it and then didn't really touch it for a long time. But it was when I was sending songs to my team and producer, it was one that everybody was like, "Oh, what's this one? We got to
I
put
just
this one
opened up the
out."
credits on Spotify, and you wrote it with our friend Kyle McKierney.
Yeah, yeah, Kyle, yeah, we did some writing on that song together. On the core, he yeah was a part of the chorus. And yeah, then there's just I had been helping Kyle do a bunch of writing for his project, and yeah, but yeah, it's a super personal song, and yeah, it's about yeah, it's yeah, just about my experience with the month of August and yeah, just like had experienced kind of a loss in August for years and years on end, and so whenever the month rolls around, it's just like a very odd feeling and you know bracing for like the world to kind of turn upside down, and that's where the inspiration of that song comes from, and kind of like that I think yeah, the end of all the imagery is like what the end of summer looks like around where I live and during harvest time, and yeah.
That is a very sad theme. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah,
just like waiting
yeah.
for it
It
every
was
single
great. Yeah,
time. Yeah,
Kyle.
I love it.
Yeah, Kyle. Yeah, helped get me out. It was like I had this concept, and yeah, helped me get out of a rut with it, and then I
Nice.
yeah took wrote the rest of the verses and bridge and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about One Hell of a Woman.
Mm.
What's she about?
Oh yeah, that's just like a song about a hard lesson in love, and yeah, I wrote that one actually on my trip. I wrote it in Kentucky. I guess a year or two before it came out. Yeah.
Is there anything you don't sing about that you don't write about that you
Ooh,
want to? This is not part of the game usually. I just thought of this. Like, are there things that
that's a great question.
you like want you just haven't got there yet, you know?
Yeah, I would love to write a. There's so many great story song, somebody like Coulter, like it's like a made up story song that's like a Western.
Yep.
Like about, like, I would love to write a song about, some kind of old, like I love to read, old Western stories or, famous events or whatever. I would love to write a song like from a perspective of that person, but it just hasn't come yet. And I think it's kind of an intimidating thing because, you want to be accurate, and yeah, I think it's like could easily be, it's like it has to be done right.
Yeah.
But I'd love, Charlie Crockett has, like, he is the Killers of the Flower Moon, like that kind of a song about a story from, the old Wild West.
Do you ever laugh about some of these are your favorite songs and then people ask like, oh, where'd that come from? They're like, oh, it's fully made up. I didn't experience any of this. It's just like inspired by something else I completely love. Yeah. You need to do that. You need to write that one.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Let's end it off then on your most recent single, The Bullfighter. What's that song about? How did you connect with that song?
Yeah, that song is written by the late, great Luke Bell, who's a super beloved songwriter in this kind of alternative country music space, folk Americana space. And yeah, around the same time, when I had driven down to Kentucky and Tennessee, I had just started covering that song, and it was just like the way that the lyrics resonated with me. It was sort of it's been a friend to me almost, like at my loneliest, or like just not knowing anybody. It's just always was like the shot of courage that I needed. And it just kind of has brought magic with it wherever that I've pulled it out. It made me a lot of friends. It's like made me a lot of friends, whether around a kitchen table or back alley, backstage, playing that song just through people that actually did know Luke and knew and loved Luke. And so it's been it's just been very much a part of these last couple like very formative years of my career and my story. And so I felt and also has like become a key part of, it's on almost we play at almost every show, and I have been from the time that I was exclusively, in the bars. So I felt very compelled to record it.
Yeah.
And,
why not? Are there any other songs that are super, like you said, like they were like supported you during some formative time periods? Are there other songs like that that you kind of think about potentially recording?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of classic, like Towns
what's your Emmylou cover you're actually gonna do?
Ooh, man, there's so many. I'd love to do Luxury Liner. I'd love to do, there's just way too many. There's so many. It'd be tough to choose a favorite.
You know what? You should do a side gig, a complete like Emmylou tribute.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
You're welcome.
That's a great idea. Yeah, thank you. Maybe we'll do a Halloween show and we'll be Emmylou Harris and the Hot Band.
That'd be cute.
Yeah.
Well, Noeline, this kind of brings us to towards the end of our time. I can't believe it's already been almost an hour together.
Yeah, it's gone by so fast. Thank you guys so much.
I said please don't be short-winded, and you did great.
Yeah, I've been blabbering on. Yeah.
That's perfect.
So thank you so much for joining us. We could have talked to you for way longer. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
We'll have to do a part 2 next year.
You guys know
oh my God, where are you
to contact me. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, bring it on. That'd be great. Yeah. Yeah, look forward to seeing you guys you said you're going to be at Lasso, or
we hope to be at Lasso, but we'll see you by the CCMAs.
Okay, CCMAs, got it. Yeah,
we'll absolutely
that's great.
Be there.
That is way past your schedule in your head.
That's past the line.
It's way past the line.
Yeah, that's
like
year.
3 chunks from now.
It's 3 chunks, big chunks. But I look forward to seeing you guys there, and thanks so much for having me today.
Of course.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of On the Porch with Front Porch Music. We're so lucky to be able to chat with artists and make episodes like this one. If you like the podcast, remember to rate and review us, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. It's the easiest way to support the show. Remember to check out frontporchmusic.ca to keep up with new music releases, exclusive artist interviews, and more. We'll catch you again on The Porch in a couple of weeks. On The Porch is hosted by Logan Miller and Jenna Weiser, and produced and edited by Jason Saunders. That's me. Our theme song is written, produced, and performed by Owen Wigler.